scares me that if we're setting Oceania up for success, it's in the back pocket of Juves. I think that he definitely, domestically at least, he's been punished by some very strong junglers. And as you brought up, James, he hasn't looked fantastic. The J4 game was less than desirable. It was less than desirable. Juves is definitely an emotional player, and I think if he gets a strong start, an early first blood, a good early gank, he's definitely the sort of player, that he could chop and he could turn on for Sin.
Yeah. There he is on your screen there, just being captivated by the drone flying overhead. But he is a very vocal player for his squad. He's a shot caller for his squad as well, so excited to see how they're going to do. Do we expect anything different from Sin from their usual playstyle?
I actually think that the meta shift back towards Rek'Sai could really help out Sin here, because we know that historically Juves has been able to pick up things like Rek'Sai, Gragas, and have very creative gank paths towards top lane especially. And I think that, given the fact that they're coming in on red side, I would not be surprised if we saw Raptor, Red Buff, Scuttlecrab camp the crap out of Dockler's lane, give Dockler something like Jace that he's been able to excel on in the past, and really go to town. Because you know that Ryoma should be fine in that mid lane. FBI is more than good enough to hold his own as well as an AD carry. I think that if he gets Dockler rolling, they have a shot.
Yeah, and I got 3 words for you. Best of one. Juves is definitely, I'm not going to call him a cheesy player, but he's not afraid to experiment, and he's not afraid to try to take his opponents by surprise. And that could really be the difference for them today. I think that, if he gets off this cheesy gank path, a creative one to get top lane, red side, Rek'Sai coming over behind him in the wall, that could be fantastic for Sin.
And every game counts. Oceania as well as the GPL need to win every single game today in order to automatically seed into the grand finals, whereas for the LJL, they either just have to win a game or hope that OPL and GPL both lose a game to each other.
And that's what they're banking on, right? Oceania and the GPL do have opportunities multiple times today to be able to split games. I mean, Mineski versus Sin, Ascension versus Legacy, when you have a look at that, both of those are probably the 2 most even games of the day. Sin versus USG, if USG play as well as they did yesterday, looks like it's USG favorite. And I don't think anyone is going to pick Rampage over the Gigabyte Marines based on Rampage yesterday performance.
Rampage have blue side? Do we want to hedge a bet there? Or?
I mean, maybe we'll go for it. I think Gigabyte Marines have shown that they're a cut above the rest. And this happens every now and again with play-in squads. Randomly, a super team gets formed or a team performs well for, 6 to 8 months. And the other playing teams just can't touch them. And it seems like, that's what happened over in the CIS region when they were putting together their super team with Kira. And now the Gigabyte Marines seem to have stolen that thunder.
Yep.
I think that, definitely Gigabyte Marines, obviously the favourites there. But I think I'm more excited for, as you said, those some middle-tier games, and they should be fantastic.
I mean, we saw quite a few of those fantastic games. Detonation Focus Me against Legacy. That was the only red side victory that we saw yesterday, and it was a fairly even match until about 20 minutes in where Dead FM just completely took over against Legacy.
Yeah, and I mean, their composition just came online, and it will be interesting to see how they bounce back against that. You can see the Sin members actually looking pretty jovial on stage. I mean, that's FBI. He's also a rookie. This is his first kind of appearance in any kind of international event, although he did play Origin over here in the OPL that had a live crowd.
And that's someone that Jush got to work with quite exclusively as well during that tournament as his coach, so you might have a few things about him that you
You've been flicking him sneaky DMs? I mean, you guys have been overseas quite a lot for Osh. You kind of hogged it. The least you can do is coach them through this.
Sadly not. I mean, I gave them all like the good luck guys, like I hope you do well sort of thing. Even if we're on different teams domestically, I think internationally we all want to stand together.
I mean, that's kind of the theme of Rift Rivals as well. Every single team from each region never plays against one another. They're always playing against opposite regions, no matter which Rift Rivals tournament you're looking at.
And it's so funny because this Rift Rivals is built up of different kind of rivalry. I feel like OS versus SEA, there's actually some bad blood there because of the fact that everyone felt like Chiefs should have gone to that Worlds, and then SEA sent Bangkok Titans that actually didn't have a good performance, and it was the what could have been. Whereas there's actually a very friendly rivalry, a very good-natured competitive rivalry between OS and the LJL. I mean, trade jerseys a lot. They're primary scrim partners, I believe, when they go over to events like this. So it's just funny what rivalries can exist between regions, and it's exciting to watch it play out.
I mean, it was, originally it was normally Dead FM and Chiefs always going over, and same with Ints, really. So we had like the same core group always going over, and so we just met our friends again and again. But we've seen a bit of more diversity coming out of LJL now, and they're leveling up, and we see we get Rampage here, and I think that in terms of rivalry, we definitely have bad blood with Southeast Asia. That 2015 Wildcards game was tough. It was definitely a tough loss for the team.
Yep, certainly was. And GPL, they've sent multiple teams to Worlds. Every single team from the GPL this time around has players that have been to Worlds, whereas for OPL, LJL, nobody's quite been to Worlds yet. There have been a couple players who have gone to MSI, or 2 teams in particular that have been to MSI.
And that's why winning tournaments like Rift Rivals is so important to regions like the OPL and the LJL, because they haven't made that next step yet, but they want to show that their second and third ranked teams have more than enough of what it takes to be able to secure victories internationally. And I think they can have pride in that fact at the moment.
And we want to be the first. You know, Dire want to be the first team to shop and be like, we're the Oceanic team's going to Worlds. Like, we're the team that wins for Oceania. Whereas, you know, Southeast Asia have done that. They've done that through the Mineski and through Southeast Asia.
Yep, well, we're about to get into the first match of today as Champions League has already come up on your screens. Mineski taking on Sin Gaming. And the ban's already underway. As always, Galio being banned on the red side of the Rift. We didn't expect too much else. Gragas and Thresh being taken away very early by Mineski.
Yeah, Sin will ban Galio Gragas because they actually don't play either of them to great effect, and I don't think they'll want to give the trade over. This is some good scouting by Mineski. Rogue plays a terrific Thresh, and you don't really want to take a counter matchup even into him. And Gragas is definitely Juves' best jungler, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely good scouting. Gragas is the sort of champion that can sacrifice CS, you know, just to flash on someone and gank. As we mentioned earlier, the Rek'Sai is still a possibility for him. So I'll be keen to see whether or not they ban Elise here to get like the favorable matchup, if they just try to remove Elise from the map, and you know how they're trading around that Caitlyn and Corki picks.
Well, we get a Shen ban coming out from Mineski. We saw quite a few of those thrown at the LJL teams, and I do know quite a few GPL teams like to pick up Shen, but in Oceania, we have not seen this champion much.
It's actually not a prioritized pick in Oceania at all. I mean, we generally don't play macro around the top side, and banning away Nunu, what the heck?
I wonder if Sin know that they're not playing against Legacy this game. Obviously, Legacy Carbon being a Nunu enthusiast. But no, I guess the Elise and the Rek'Sai trade, that's still up. The Caitlyn's still up too, so definitely a bit of scouting, because I think that Dockler, especially in solo queue, has shown that he's a Shen player. So, you know, they've done their research, definitely.
Yeah, and if you were watching Carbon's Twitter, he was very vocal about how upset he was that Nunu was getting a couple of nerfs in the future. But Mineski have locked in Caitlyn as their AD carry of choice, one of the more heavily prioritized champions. And Rogue's going to be picking up Zyra as the support. And just like you mentioned, Spawn, Juice picks up Rek'Sai heading into the jungle.
I like this a lot because all of a sudden Zyra, if you ban out Blitzcrank and they, fingers crossed, don't pick it in this first rotation, should have the push priority in the bottom lane. That means FBI can try and farm up, and then Juves can attack the solo lanes.
The other thing is that they get the Ashe now, and it doesn't matter if you're losing lane to Caitlyn. They have Zyra Ashe at level 6, and anyone they come up against is dead.
Yeah. And the big thing is that you win top side of the map, get the push advantage, and then when you have Zyra Ashe level 6, your top lane is level 7 or 8, you just transition all that bottom pressure into the bottom lane. You start pulling off teleport ganks, and you really attack TG and Zen, because they have shown time and time again that they are a winning part of Mineski's formula.
Mineski, however, have been able to pick up Elise. Yesterday, Hammers had a very poor performance on Jarvan in the jungle, who doesn't do well in the jungle at the moment. Will it be different this time around? He has a S-tier jungler.
I mean, it could potentially be, but Hammers' problem was he was sitting in brushes, not farming and falling behind in experience. And Elise can fall into a similar trap. Not a quick farmer of, you know, Raptors, Krugs, the big camps in the jungle. Does the solo camps fast enough, but it is certainly an interesting... I mean, Elise is a Moby Boots rush jungler into heavy gank style, so he needs to make something happen.
Yeah, that definitely fits Hammers' playstyle, at least from what we saw yesterday. You know, he doesn't need to play one of those champions who really has to farm out for like level 6, 11 or something. He can actually just go into lanes and gank, and it doesn't really matter if he's not being super efficient with his pathing.
Well, the final 2 picks from these 2 teams, Mineski do lock in Blitzcrank early, so it can't be banned up by Sin. Sin decide not to pick up Ashe just yet, as they lock in Talia for Ryoma.
Yeah, and I wonder if that means that they have a hyper carry that they want to play with side lanes priority, because you would have thought that would be the Ashe pick, because they could right now ban away Ashe Varus. They haven't chosen to do that on the side of Mineski, but that would have really pinched that utility roll down in the bottom lane.
Except that they still have Jhin, and FBI can play a pretty good Jhin, and Jhin actually is probably one of the better matchups into Caitlyn, just because you get to go that similar double Energizer build, and then you have like a decent good range, I guess, matchup in terms of... no AD carry has a good matchup in terms of into Caitlyn's range, but Jhin does it slightly better than the rest. But are we going to see the Vayne?
I hope not.
I hope not.
I hope not. I
when
really
the
hope
dreams,
not too.
the hopes and dreams of Oceania rests on the shoulders of Sin, you hope that you don't see a Vayne pick.
I mean, well, the Jhin would make a lot of sense because they do have good consistent damage already, especially if that's going to be a warrior Rek'Sai, and they did need the ability to start up a fight. And the other thing this does, by early priority picking it, is they know what they're against. I mean, unless there's a really crazy, like, Twisted Fate pick or something like that, there's not going to be all that much pressure from the mid lane because Syndra's gone against Talia. And that allows you to hide Doppler's pick. And Doppler has been bullied a little bit in the OPL, so giving him the counter pick, I think, is a priority here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also important that, as you said, they've got the Talia who's going to get the shove mid, and that actually kind of negates the Blitzcrank Caitlyn threat. Obviously, if you're shoving into the bottom turret and Talia starts roaming down in Fog of War, you have to pay a lot of respect to that. So Ryoma actually sort of bailing his bottom lane out of a bad matchup already.
We had a Jace ban being thrown Doppler's way as well, so Mineski again doing their research, but Renekton's left up, which is a very high priority pick in the OPL. Doppler could always go back towards that champion, as Corki and Kled are the final 2 picks from Mineski.
I think you do go towards the Renekton. Ooh, that's a very quick lock in of Fiora, so I'm not going to say that. I didn't finish the sentence, so I don't look like an idiot, right? I was expecting the Renekton because it's a pretty good matchup into Kled. It's definitely a skill matchup. Fiora, however, I haven't seen Fiora into Kled in quite some time.
So that actually is a skill matchup too, and Swipe is a huge fan of Kled at the moment, so we've been playing around with almost every single Kled matchup possible, and then even some more on top of that. I think that it is definitely in favor of Kled in the early game. The one issue that arises for Kled is that Fiora gets to 2 items, and it kind of sort of goes the other direction then. As with a lot of
I was about to say,
Fiora
so we've
lanes.
just described every Fiora lane in the world. If you can get to 2 items unscathed with equal or even slightly negative CS, you'll run over the top of people.
All right. No, yeah, I think it's definitely power to Kled early, and then his ultimate, along with package, that gives them a lot of control around the map. But if Mineski can't be clean and close this one out early, I guess you have to sort of wonder what is going to shut down the Fiora later.
Yeah, and this is the one game where I think the Corki nurse will actually hit him. I'm a big fan of Corki at the moment. I actually think he's probably the strongest blind pick, but we did hit his wave clear slightly, and against Talia, every single little bit of wave clear counts, especially when you're trying to get to a side lane with package, because she has the exact same game plan when she has that big wall. So I think that, if Ryoma plays this well, can hook up with Juves in the early game, that is the key to winning the side lanes. If it goes the other way, I think that Mineski actually have the stronger, isolated matchups.
And we know that Ryoma can play this well because he's known for his Talia. He's a very strong mid laner, has been performing fantastically for Sin, so a lot of weight rests on his shoulders, but I'm curious to see how Juves is going to do in the jungle this time round, because that's going to dictate the early game.
I mean, every Oceanic fan is halfway between raising their koalas and giving energy to Juves, because really...
raise your energy.
He performed so well in the Gauntlet and was able to get his team, key advantages in the early game, but so far this split just has not looked his old self.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the factors of changing their roster and changing the vocal dynamic within the team. I think there's a bit more pressure put onto Juves now. He has to control the early game even more so than last split, and they're still just making micro adjustments to their communication and how they want to play the early game.
Yep, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this one pans out. The first match of Day 2 of Rift Rivals 2017, Sin Gaming taking on Mineski. And unfortunately, the loser of this match will deny their region a chance
Run, Dockler!
to try and qualify for the grand finals that is on Thursday this week.
I mean, actually a strange invade coming in there. Generally what you do is walk into the Baron pit and throw a blind hook if you're really keen on that.
I think I've seen this before.
Yeah, I've seen this before, definitely. Wonder if he gets hit this time. Didn't. Bummer. But at the same time, I mean, as I said, generally what you do if you really want to go for the cheesy plays, you stack into the Baron pit, you pull blindly over the wall, especially with the Fiora that's going to take Q. That is a hard invade to nail. And once again, I just want to repeat what I said yesterday. With Zyra, you know that they're going to stack up the plants in the bottom lane through the seeds, because that's how you get the shove. I just cannot believe that another team has picked Blitzcrank and not 5-man invaded down into the bottom brushes and tried to catch the Zyra route.
The Zyra 5-man 5v5 at bottom lane is actually more of an Oceanic special now, I think. A lot of teams have gotten used to that, and people play way more safely around that now that it's not so, I guess, cheesy, or everyone expects it a little bit too much now. So I think the invade top side actually makes a bit of sense. Dockler standing forward in that brush, assuming maybe that Mineski will go down bot. Wow, 5.
That's what I was going to say. Don't get me wrong. I don't think you get the kill. I just think you stop this from happening. And now they just don't get access to first wave if Rogue doesn't want them to.
They're giving a leash for Elise on red buff as well, so they're going to take some time to get back into the lane. Juice starts on Raptor Camp. That is Nuni against Utapon. That'll be later on, guys. Cool. But yeah, so Hermes starts on red buff, gets a leash from Blitzcrank and Caitlyn, so that bottom lane could be a disaster now for them.
Yeah, it certainly could be, as we see Hermes actually pathing towards top side. He has still got vision of Juves, however, and this really is our key matchup to watch, because Hermes needs to step up and have a better game, and Juves, the ward has expired. I wonder if he is running the Experience Quinn and whether he can go towards Scuttle Crab and top lane and meet the Elise there, both with level 3.
I mean, yeah, he can. I think it would be unwise just based on the fact that he got invaded. As we see him moving down to bot side now, that that Chief sort of gets shut down with that ward, and he's just playing intelligently. He knows that he could be countered too easily doing that, and the Elise level 3 spike is just a bit too strong, I think.
And this is every Blitzcrank's nightmare. I mean, what you generally want to do with Blitzcrank is be able to pop a couple of targets for free because you know you're not going to get harassed, and be able to actually match pushes early on in the game. To not get shoved into your turret, because now...
They get a hook onto Rogue. He's probably going to fall here. Heel's being popped, but still first blood picked up by the Caitlyn. And top side now, they get a stun going down onto Dockler. That's 2 kills from Neski so early into the game.
I mean, those were both very readable patterns. Blitzcrank's only way to get back in that lane was to nail that hook. Even if it was flash, that would have been shoved back into turret. Early game would have been mitigated. And Dockler knew that James was pathing towards the top side of the map because of the bottom lane leash. So just sloppy play, and they're actually diving again.
He just teleported back to lane. Kyger's going to get knocked off his Lizard. James taking a lot of damage, uses the repel. They'll take him down. Kyger will fall, but that's teleport burn flash. But look at all this experience that's going to waste.
That is like 3 waves of minions just dying to the turret now, and probably half the turret's HP.
I mean, that is really a poor start out of Sin Gaming. We said that they're an emotionally charged team, that the top side of the map cannot fall behind. And so far, off to a bad start, and it's their top side of the map that's just happening to.
Yep. If you're an Oceanic fan and you're raising your koalas, put them down for the moment and start giving energy to Juves, because he needs to do something on this map for Sin at the moment. Everything's just going absolutely wrong for the Oceanic squad.
We're saying that it revolves around Juves, but so far he's done nothing wrong. He just wanted to get a really nice early path, and all these lanes had to do was not die. And both of them died.
Yeah, and as we sort of foreshadowed a little bit in Champion Select, James with the 3-minute 50 Moby boots, now it doesn't matter if he wants to like path through his jungle camps or whatever. He can just be in your lane at any given point. As we see the Hook just miss.
Hook is going to miss. James doesn't connect with the cocoon, but FBI still taking quite a bit of damage. Repel will get him back to safety. That's Rogue going forward. Teleport into the bottom lane.
That's actually a good flash from Rogue because it forces the teleport, and now all of a sudden Dockler, even though he's behind in his lane, has equalized on that summoner spell.
Juves getting caught by Cocoon though, and TG is here, going to try and lock him down, knocks him out of the tunnel, doesn't have that cooldown available, Trap's being put behind him, he's trying to fight it out, low health bar from Mineski, that's 2 dead, Zen is trying to run away, a flash forward from FBI, going to be able to hit that last shot, but the heal from Exo saves him.
But still a 2-for-1 trade for Sin. All of a sudden, Gold is back to even, they've equalized all the summoner spells, and Juves, we said he didn't do anything wrong, but he drags them back into the game.
Raise those koalas again, guys. No, definitely the recovery they needed. Dockler, back 10 CS up, shoved his lane in. He's going to get a good ward. You can just check him on the mini-map going down to the topside jungle. This is definitely what Sin, they just needed.
Yeah, and the other big thing is, with that kill, Juves now matches pressure because he goes Tiamat. So we have a jungler with Moby Boots that wants to get into lanes and gank. And if those ganks aren't successful, Juves is going to farm so much quicker, build a big CS and level advantage. There's another good little trade there for Kaigu.
Dockler trying to fight Kaigu here, knocks him off his mount. Kaigu's still chasing further forward.
There is Elise heading up top, and that's why they were a little bit hesitant to continue the skirmish.
There's a big item discrepancy in the bottom lane. A double longsword against the BF sword of Caitlyn. That's the 2 kills that were picked up by Zen in that bottom lane skirmish. However, James has been caught out on the wrong side of the map. He's going to repel back to the Scrying Orb. Meanwhile, Kaigu trying to fight Dockler. Kaigu is trying to fight him. He's going to get back on his skull. Try to go toe-to-toe again. Going to try and pick it up. Goes invulnerable. One last shot. Will take him down. Kaigu lives with next to no health. Will still die. Range minions, 2 OP.
Come on, Creepwave. Just move a little bit quicker. Give the freeze over to Dockler. What a close one-on-one. I mean, technically, Kaigu comes out ahead because the wave's going to be shoved into the turret. Even more creeps going down. But at the same time, I mean, that's a message sent. And if Juves is able to actually pick up majority of this CS, now he's like absolutely massive. He's going to get to level 6. Rek'Sai now no longer level 6 irrelevant jungle. Are they going to die this?
Can't die there.
Surely not. Some damage.
I'm about to say, he's about to tick over to level 6. Turret diving a level 6 champion that has an invulnerability is... I'm going to say suicide. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Hammer's wasting his time there. Obviously, Juves is going to pick up all the experience, even if he doesn't get the gold. So I think Hammers has to base anyway. Juves definitely the benefactor of that gank, despite his team dying.
It's a good feeling. I mean, when you just see a big creep wave, it's like, don't worry, mate, I got it. You can't get here anyway.
Rogue does get hooked in the bottom lane. Threw out his threw out his tether a little bit too soon. Zen is going to pay for this one, though. FBI charging on forward. Doesn't matter. Ignite was ticking from the Zyra. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
And whenever an AD carry gets to stay in a lane, it goes in that AD carry's favor. Giving a kill over to Zyra in the early game isn't going to be a bad thing. She's going to build primarily AP anyway. And at the same time, Rogue gets to now shove this into the turret. Needs to be careful of another Hermes gank. He's been very active on Summoner's Rift, but you can see already 16 CS down.
Here they go. Mineski looking for a pick onto FBI. He's caught recalling. Wolves trying to run towards his turret. TG looking for the hook. Does he get it? He does. And Hermes can't connect the cocoon to follow up. FBI tries to lock down TG. Hermes going under the turret. Repels in. TG taking turret. One more shot. Would have killed him, but it does not take another.
And that sloppy from FBI actually puts himself in a tricky situation as he ran directly towards the turret that the juke path was cut off. You can see Juves wants to potentially get in this mid lane now.
Exo trying to just turn around and fight Ryoma. Forces the flash out of Talia. Exo's going to go over the wall. Rek'Sai comes through with the ultimate. We'll pick up a kill for Sin in the mid lane.
And what Exo was trying to do is if you change direction as Rek'Sai jumps, you can actually dodge out on the damage, but you need boots too to be able to make it work now. So a little bit unfortunate there. You can see Juves continuing the invade is now double the CS of the jungler coming out of Mineski.
Yeah, and the nicest thing about that too was just that Zyra was there to back him up. Oh, here comes the engage from...
That's a big creep wave though.
Yeah, Kaiger's looking to try and charge into this one. Doppler wants to try and fight with the creep wave. That's a lot of damage coming out from Kled to kick things off. Kaiger decides not to chase any further forward.
What a waste of teleport and ultimate, honestly. I mean, when you were like... fighting into what was like 8-9 ranged minions at this stage of the game when you haven't picked up those ninja tabbies or something along the line actually hurts a lot. And you can see that was exactly what happened. He got a bad trade and then now he's no teleport.
Yeah, and it's actually fantastic for Doppler now because he gets to play greedy. Fiora doesn't really want to TP for a flank or an early fight. He just wants to TP back to lane, as you see on your screens. And it means that he just gets, one base closer to getting his first item and then second item spikes too.
And all of a sudden, even though it's BF pickaxe for the Caitlyn, still is going to be early penetration going over to FBI and a couple of longswords, so he's in an okay position, especially if he's...
There's a package coming up as well. Two members trying to dive Doppler nice and early. Exo comes up, doesn't get damage from the package, but gets there on time. Mineski almost botching this dive. Doppler still alive somehow. Kaiger will take that up, but it's not going to deal enough damage to take him down.
Has wall, and they are pretty low, and now bottom lane action too.
Yep, it's going to be TG trying to tank up the shots coming out from the Curtical. The crit goes through, but he flashes out of it. Zen almost dies from that one, and Juves is looking for the flank.
No flash.
He's wrapping around. Let's see if he can get it. Goes on towards Zen. Pops the ultimate of TG instead. Hook goes wide. Juves trying to take it down. Can't get that bit of auto attack damage, but Rogue will clean up the kills in the bottom lane.
And Rogue is absolutely massive. I mean, he's got 3 kills as a support at this stage of the game. Top lane turret did fall down, so gold lead over to Mineski. And I have to say that this tempo of game actually suits Sin. From what we've seen, when the game's messy, when the map's being opened up, when, everything is really flying everywhere, they come out in their element. And you can see that CS leads are actually starting to accrue for both Juves and FBI. And whilst the Kled is ahead, everywhere else on the map is starting to fall behind.
Yeah, but you have to be very careful. If they drop more outers without taking some of their own, that is the win condition for almost every Southeast Asian team in my experience. When they get that blind fog in your jungle and you can't even go to your own Raptor camp, you have to be so careful.
Doppler, meanwhile, fancies his chances as a mid laner as he tries to go toe-to-toe against Exo.
It's not the first Fiora mid lane we've seen from an Oceanic squad this split anyway, Fish.
Yeah, it's not.
Nothing new here.
Yeah, we've seen that from Legacy as well. But even with the top lane turret falling first for Mineski, they only have about 500 gold in their favor, which is not much 11 minutes in.
I mean, they have more kills, they got first blood, and they got first brick, and it's only roughly, 500 to 700 gold at this point. As you mentioned, we've got big item spikes coming through at the same time for the Sin Gaming lineup. We've got Rek'Sai, Tiamat, nearly Cinderhulk. Already got early penetration coming out of Ryoma, and Yomu's Ghostblade finished up for FBI. So unless this gank works.
Yeah, they're running a Blitzcrank in the mid lane. Doesn't connect the hook onto Ryoma, who just runs straight forward.
I mean, this game, even though the gold is even, you have to say relative power of the two teams is quite similar at this point.
Yeah, and I still think that, Sin, as the game goes on, they will start having, more and more control. I actually never thought I would say this, but Juves is holding them in the game right now.
Yep.
That CS lead that has just been removed from your screen, is actually what's making up a lot of this goal discrepancy.
But it's replaced with a very nice blue box. As far as blue boxes goes, that was a great blue box.
I mean, they just can't believe it.
Actually going for another gank now into this bottom lane. You can see that they're trying to push the wave in. It's been red, but Zen...
Ooh, lockdown. Rooted twice. Juice picks up the kill. TG brings Jin in. Let's see if everybody can get out of the time. He does, and that's going to be 2 kills for Sin in the bottom lane.
And Hermes is just sitting there trying to get in. No package on Corky means this should be another turret going down. Sin will pick up the first gold lead of the game for themselves. And this is a danger. Going up against Talia, if you cannot outshove her, she just has so much map impact.
Yeah, just such a slow read from Hermes. I think once they went for that gank mid, we saw that Corky valks forward, uses all his mana, has half HP. He has to back off there.
Ooh, they want to continue the fight here.
Let's see if they can go for it. Doppler's the one that's trying to charge in. Pops his parry. They do lock down Corky. The rest of Sin will slowly pile on back in. Kaigo knocked off his mount, but charges away, get his team to safety.
But all of a sudden, that is an EXO, as well as all of the members from Sin trying to stream forward into this part of the map. Game has accelerated very quickly.
Yep, definitely. And I think that the sigh of relief that Sin fans get to breathe now is that all of Mineski have to base again. So they make a play bottom lane, and then there's no counterplay. There's nothing. Mineski bases, Sin bases, we get like a clean reset on the map. And Dockler once again gets to go back up top, walks away from his own bases.
Dockler's the only member that's behind at the moment.
They've caught in the lane swap actually, which is interesting because you would think that Dockler would have a little bit harder time in a 2v1 at this stage of the game. At the same time, TG kind of doesn't even want to be in a lane, just wants to be roaming with those Moby boots. Did you like to talk about?
The better thing for Sin there is you may sacrifice the Fiora a tiny bit, but that wave up top is building massively, and that's just going to make Mineski react to it. Ryoma, we have to hold priority mid just because of his Talia build. Going for the Haunting guys early gives him a little bit more power. Having said that, Trinity Force Corky, nothing to be laughed at. But yeah, there's no response, or a very slow response coming from Mineski to that top lane. So now we'll see that the Sin bottom lane just roam down mid, take control of topside river. Rift Herald becomes a possibility here.
It seems like the game is really in Sin's control at the moment. They are spotted out by a Scrying or pop by Blitzcrank.
And not to mention, this is historically the part of the game where Zen just wants to be farming pretty safely, as they have actually called out Blitzcrank again.
Well, they did a decent amount of damage to TG. It's already down to half health.
And unfortunately for TG, he's now in a lane that can't go aggressive, because even if they hook Rogue, he's just going to ult both of them. And the Jhin is very strong at this stage of the game. I mean, where Jhin is strong, Caitlyn is currently weak, and they're just losing out in a 2v2.
It's now a pickaxe against a full Youmuu's Ghostblade from what was a big victory, but Rogue does get hooked in, pops the ultimate. He's going to die for this. Can he get the curtain call? Procs, the last one misses. Zen is trying to block that final shot. Now tries to go toe-to-toe himself. Rek'Sai trying to get in behind there, and as much as he said the hook's not going to work, it did quite there. Rek'Sai now in trouble. He's getting locked down. Tries to pop the ultimate, but shut down for Zen.
What is the O squad doing? I mean, all they had to do was set up a siege on that top lane turret, completely fumble it. And as you said, Kaigu can continue the aggression here. Actually, doesn't have ult available, so can't catch up to FBI, but, I mean, all you have to do is play the game neutral there. You don't even have to look for the fight.
Nerves are weighing on these players. Speaking from experience, when you're playing a 20-kill game...
Not this guy.
Ryoma looking for it. Forces a flash heal out of the Corky.
Nerves are playing on 80% of Sin, maybe, as we see the Rift Herald go down just as a product of that top lane.
FBI still trying to duel Zen here, putting down traps, doesn't connect, does get the root from the net though, and they're still chasing Caitlyn down. Is anyone else behind them? Yes, there is. Teleport from Dockler. Not quite fast enough. That's a flash forward from FBI. Forces the heal out of Caitlyn, waiting for his 90 caliber net to get out of that one. Flashes instead. Cocoon comes through. Good parry from Dockler. And a hook goes back in as well. They pick up Rogue. It seems like deja vu for this Zyra.
I mean, calling a spade a spade. Rogue is intentionally feeding at the moment. And big charge comes out, Fish.
Looking for a fight. Ryoma's going to try and stop this one, but gets hooked back in by 2 different types of hooks, and Mineski starting to claw this one back.
The Sin boy, again, Juves.
He's going to get caught out as well.
He's dead.
Pulled back by Bear Trap on the road. He's been ignited as well. TG's looking for a hook. Not quite enough mana. He's going to go over the wall. Goes through as well. Kaigu takes him down.
Yeah, burns a flash on Kaigu there. This is really nice play out of Mineski, and this is what you were trying to say. Even though the pace of the game in Oceania would suit Sin, as far as Chaos League of Legends go, the Southeast Asian squads just still seem to be far ahead.
The Southeast Asian squads thrive in the 20 kill at 16 minutes sort of situation. Dockler wants to be farming to 200 CS here, and he's nowhere close to it.
This is the bloodiness you expected yesterday, Spawn, between Dials and Gigabyte Marines.
By the way, thank goodness. When I saw these 3 regions, I was like, they're just going to fight all the time. Like, if there was a region where you could be like, everyone gets to 20 minutes with 2.5 items and you just get to fight, like, all of these teams would be like, yep, take me there right now.
Absolutely.
EXO trying to pick a fight against everyone from Sin, so it's just blow the package to get away. It's a 2,000 gold lead for Mineski currently. And
all of a sudden, because of these kills that fell in rapid succession, Corky's starting to get to where he wants to be, a little bit behind, wants the boots too. Here's a flank coming in here, but good siege.
Let's see if they go for it. It is a Fiora flank, so not the most effective, but he's already in the back lines, and Zen is almost dead, but they blow up Dockler off the back of a great Cocoon. Ultimate's coming up from Jin, not good enough. Juice jumps in to pick up one for himself. In fact, stolen away by Rogue. EXO's trying to kite out. This one will get jumped on, and Rek'Sai sinks her claws into him. That's a better trade for Sin.
One of the more successful Fiora flanks I've seen in my time. He dives into the middle of the team, creates enough havoc that Rogue's able to get a big Zyra ultimate. Rift Herald, meanwhile, is slow pushing top lane. A strange use of the buff. If you're going to siege up mid like that, generally you put the Rift Herald there as well.
He's stealing his team's minions. Stop! Don't give Hammers the CS. Give it to your carries.
Oh boy. Tiger's now going to continue split pushing in the bottom lane. Ryoma has been set down to deal with him. And we'll take a look at that fight again. Big flank from Dockler.
Yeah, it certainly was. Dockler fires in, actually forces Zen out. That last shot would have killed him, and the fight would have been even better for the Oceanic squad. And EXO, for whatever reason, just never seems to have mana on this Corky pick. So you can see that he can't have enough for Valkyrie. He doesn't even have enough to return damage, and does fall down.
Just not looking that comfortable, I guess, on the champion. You know, we touted it as, you know, one of the really strong blind picks, something that in the meta right now is, you know, nigh unstoppable. But yeah, not having a great performance. Still picking up the objectives. That's upsetting me. Sin, where are your wards?
I mean, at the same time, they're also getting a bottom lane turret as well. So it's not like it's just a dragon that's going to go down. It's a dragon and an extra turret for absolutely no trade whatsoever. Right now, really, it is Juves and Ryoma that carry the weight of this mid game. Juves, however, has been catch-up mechanics by James. Not only did he get a lot of CS with that Rift Herald, also got some experience, so has caught back up.
Juice is going towards the Cinderhulk Ralk on red side, so we'll pick up a Titanic Hydra and start stacking a ton of resistances.
This is a bad feeling as a Corky. You win at Trinity Force nearly every single time, but he's just so far behind Ryoma that he is throwing another rock, and they are starting to hurt.
And even more so, look, Juves is ready. He's here for, you know, the counter gank or the dive.
Spotted out, still will go in. EXO has been tagged up. Juves flashes forward, gets a ton of damage down. Heal's already been burnt by EXO. Doesn't even need to use his ultimate. So they'll lose their mid lane turret. They should take down top lane outer though.
Yeah, I actually don't hate this out of Sin because they're just trading where they're strong and it becomes a win more tactic. Ryoma has to be able to get side lane priority and collapse on a team fight. Otherwise they're not going to be able to get it done. Charge coming out, Juves again.
Locked down by Bear Trap on a rope. Kaiga will charge on forward. Good knockoff from Juves. TG gets the hook in Fog of War and James picks up the kill.
And that might actually be Baron because all of a sudden you have no jungle available. You can see the Fiora on the bottom lane. They've got enough tanky members. They're at least going to look to bait it.
Not the smartest Baron, I don't think. You know, without that Corky, I don't think they do enough damage just yet. And there's something like the long engage of, we're going to have a fight.
Ooh, they lock down Elise. Curtain Call comes out, knocked back and shut down before the Spire can get back in her web. Big pickup by Sin.
Ryoma does a disgusting amount of damage at the moment. I mean, sure, it's an Elise, pretty squishy at this stage of the game, but he just wiped him off the face of Earth.
Got back, picked up a Landry's Torment as well.
Ryoma is looking like our last hope right now as the Oceanic supporters.
The Obi-Wan Kenobi of the whole region. But at the same time, I mean, the Jin's still farming up, is in a relatively good spot. Definitely hasn't got the power to match Zen as far as, you know, consistent damage out of the fight, but still on those ultimates and on the long-range engage will serve a purpose.
Hello, Ryama's going to build a wall. EXO gets trapped behind it, does have Valk to try and get over. That's a ton of damage being laid down by Ryoma. Teleport being forced out of Kaigo. I don't think Sin really care. They've taken down one. Going to look for the second. First teleport is cancelled. Second one follows from Dockler as well.
I don't know why Dockler teleported there. I think with Juves arriving, they would have won that regardless of whether the teleport came in. No one else was collapsing on that side of the map. They had vision on Blitzcrank mid lane. Caitlyn was there with him as well. A little bit of a, I think, you know, you just throw it out there in case.
Better safe than sorry. I think that, you know, you're not actually giving yourself any disadvantage. I guess you're sort of losing is an advantage, as convoluted as that sounds.
Yeah.
You know, they both have the 3-minute cooldown now, so neither team is at a huge loss. That's definitely a small window that, you know, Sin could have punished.
That is a huge difference in the mid lane at the moment, though. 5-1-3 to 0-5-2 with a 22 CS advantage going in Ryoma's favor.
I guess the good news for Exo, if there is any good news, is he's probably worth about 175 gold at this stage in the game. So until he gets a couple more CS or a team fight breaks out.
You know, it doesn't really matter that much in a sense, because Corki, once he gets to 2 items, it won't matter if he's 0-5, 0-10. Obviously, he's going to do like a lot of damage, and that's, I guess, what Mineski are going to be relying on, is that they at least can get them through this, and then, you know, Corki Caitlyn will have it, you know, mid to late.
Meanwhile, Kaigo has been able to pick up his 2 core items, a Black Cleaver and Titanic Hydra. Doppler is still sitting on the single Ravenous Hydra and components for her Black Cleaver.
Yeah, I mean, Doppler right now probably doesn't want to go near the Cloud. Has an experience advantage as well as an item advantage, and experience, as we keep saying, is like 600-ish gold depending on which champion you're playing. They are, however, once again looking for a pick into that lane. Ultimate back available for Ioma means that anytime he really wants to kill Exo, probably can.
It's still a 2,000 gold lead in favor of Mineski, but it doesn't quite feel like there is a lead at the moment.
And it's just because of the relative strength of the champions. As I said, Jhin comes online earlier than Caitlyn. If Caitlyn gets to a next item, 5-3-3 right now is only about 2,000 gold away. I mean, this gold gap will actually start to feel very impactful because the siege becomes oppressive, the Caitlyn traps come out, Corki Kate shred through turrets, and they just blow up anyone that come within range.
Yeah, and, you know, there's not much frontline from Sin, so Rek'Sai, you know, even going the Cinder, he hasn't got anything to, you know, prevent damage against the Caitlyn. If he dives onto Caitlyn to try to start anything, I feel like he's going to get shredded.
Mineski trying to start up Baron here, get it down to about half health. Sin will spot them out.
This is why Talia and historically Twisted Fate has been a really good champion against the Southeast Asian regions, in my opinion, and I know that the Chiefs kind of held a similar opinion. They do take impulsive calls like that. They knew that Ryoma must have been showing somewhere near bottom side of the map, so they start up the Baron. If they peel off any slower from that and Ryoma's able to get across, although big engage coming here.
Looking for a fight. FBI has been caught out by Kaigo. Bear trap on the rope. Connects. Will pull him back slightly, but they knock him back. Kaigo already knocked off Skull. Juves forced to flash away though. Curtain Call not going to connect on the priority target. Mineski still have to fight with their backs against a wall. Literally, big root coming out from Rogue. He picks up one for himself. Juice pops out of nowhere on top of Exo. Ryoma flashes into the backlines. Gets hooked back. TG forces him to dodge a cocoon. And only James is left up with Zed, who has somehow wandered away. Doppler still chasing him down in the backlines. Going to dive between 2 turrets, wandering a little bit. And Sin pick up a massive team fight.
And there is a reason we put the microscope on Ryoma, because he is absolutely popping off in between the turrets. Absolutely huge out of the rookie mid laner.
He's a monster.
He is a monster. That was fantastic. And then even getting hooked under turret, doesn't care. Floats like millimeters from a Kate trap. Still pulls it off perfectly, and they take 2 turrets from it. You know, Sin are really back in this game.
I mean, and a Fire Dragon on top of all of that. All of a sudden, you got a Jhin, you got Talia, 2 of the best champions at using AP just because of consistent damage. Not to mention, you're going to have a late game Fiora at some point, although potentially Baron here. Yeah, this is bold.
There is teleport for Doppler, and Ryoma is wandering up towards the Baron pit.
Teleport coming in.
Juice is looking for it as well.
Juice
now
is lower level.
3,000 health, 2,000 now. Jhin has shown himself. Does Juice go over and try to get the steal? He does. Doesn't get it. Picked up by James. He's going to get melted to kick things off. Doppler wants to try and continue the fight. Getting into the back lines on Zed. We can't quite see what else is happening so far. And it seems like Doppler did get that kill.
Here we
Gets
go.
his ultimate pop. And Sin are trying to charge on forward. 3 members of Mineski trying to run away. FBI goes on a killing spree. TG has been split up, wandering back towards Sin's side of the base. Curtain Call gets popped. Face the music, TG. You've got absolutely nowhere to run. Ryoma looking for that kill. Will trap him against the wall again. And Sin will trade Baron for 3 kills.
I mean, that was a nice PowerPoint presentation. I think what happened in the end is 2 people escaped with Baron. Baron plus a kill for 3 members is still worth for Mineski, especially given the fact they got the top lane turret off the back end.
And the most important thing is they denied it from Sin. Sin, you know, started that momentum swing. They take the Infernal, and they're going to run out of base and start setting up that Baron. And, you know, that's going to be what's going to close out the game for them. You know, get the Baron, start hitting the inners, and break into the inhibs. And, you know, Mineski just playing, you know, with their timings very well to take the Baron, know that they will lose a fight and sacrifice a couple members, but they come out relatively unscathed.
And they keep the gold lead. There's still 1,000 gold up over Sin, despite the efforts Sin have thrown into getting back into this game. And they picked up quite a few items for themselves. James has gone for Void Staff, Leandri's second and third item on Elise here.
And I really do question that, because he's pretty much all the front line that they're going to have in the fourth. Because you know that Kaigo's going to be looking for big flanks, going to have to match the split push. And Ryoma at this point has Deathcap Leandri's 10 stacks on a Dark Seal. So if he looks at James and hits him with a couple of stones, he will die.
Is the same true in the opposite direction?
Not at all.
Honestly, if James had Skirmishes Saber, so close. If James had Skirmishes Saber, I actually would back him to 1v1 FBI at this point. But he has gone the trackers, so yeah, just a questionable build really. Something you expect out of a solo queue player rather than a competitive player playing for his region's pride.
If we're talking like Maokai top lane, Gragas with a Spirit Visage jungle or something like that, I can get behind it. Like, don't get me wrong, I like carrying from the jungle as well. There is right now a Spirit Visage. Period. That's all of the magic resistance built up. So he doesn't need it. I mean, go a Rylai's if you want to go a second damage item. At least then you provide some form of utility.
He's building for a better future, Spawn. When all the magic resistance items start coming up from Sin, who will be laughing then?
Go a Protobelt. Protobelt's like the most fun item you can have on release anyway.
Well, Zen might actually be caught out here. Juves is looking for the flank, pops an unaccountable net, and that's the curtain call trying to start a fight for Sin.
Let's find out how long he lasts for.
Repel comes out, and there you go. Absolutely squished. The
That was
brute
an
comes
auto
down,
attack?
but there's still a big Kled in the back lines. We'll get a kill onto Rogan Return. Jumps back on top of FBI, gets knocked off his mount, and shut down by the carry himself.
And I mean, this is just what happens when your front line isn't really a front line. That's the two tankiest members of the Meneski Gaming lineup just falling before the power of the Sin Gaming carries.
Yeah, no, James has passed the baton. He said, you know what, guys, had a good early game. I'm going to troll the rest of this. No, you're not going Zhonya's.
I was about to say, speaking of some defense at least, a bit of armor, bit of invulnerability.
I mean, there's nothing better than nailing someone, getting them to 80% health, than Zhonya's in Spider's form and just watching your little critters like take out the rest of the damage.
That is the annoying thing, though, is that Elise will do 80% of your health. She won't do 100.
Yeah.
You'll do 80% and then die. Like,
Whereas
please build utility.
Ryoma at the moment will do 200% of your health. You'll take out one person and probably the person next to him as well.
Maybe more. Ryoma actually massive though at this point, and he's heading down towards bottom lane, which is, this, just to get his blue buff. I was excited to see him go into the 1-3-1 against the Caitlyn and see how fast the Caitlyn dies.
I mean, and the big thing here is, once again, we're talking about an even game. I mean, we're very excited about where Sin is, but still, Kaigu has picked up a GA, is a full item ahead of Dockler at this stage of the game, and should have more presence if it was a traditional split push, as well as the fact that you got the 3-item Caitlyn that can now set up. It's just, it doesn't feel like the gold being used in the jungle position has actually taken off. And whilst they have strong carries, Jin's a Zeal ahead, as well as the fact that it's a full item and maybe a bit more on Ryoma. I mean, James is richer than Juves, but it doesn't really matter at this stage.
Yeah, what's it translating to, right? The gold is very even in this game, especially for a 30-minute game. But like the two massive points to look at is that gold allocation, way better on Sin's lineup. And the second thing is the Infernal Dragon is going to be incredible for them post-30 in these team fights.
EXO just having not the best of games so far, 0-7-4. Has caught up in CS.
He's inting. We can all call that an int.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Rogue would be in a similar category if we want to be fair, but he's picked up a couple of cheeky kills for himself.
I mean, he's building for his team fight. You know, maybe gets caught out here and there. Still a threat in the team fight.
I mean, now what you want to do is you hope that you get hooked and don't die instantly and get like ultimate Q, couple of roots out and like just blow someone up.
You just smash the keyboard after you get root. Hopefully it hits people.
The old headbutt.
Yep.
I know I'm going to die, but I'm going to take as many people out with me.
EXO also has got an Infinity Edge and no other crit items. I mean, that's as far as gold efficiency go, which I'm a big fan of, is actually very bad gold efficiency with new Infinity Edge. Juice potentially caught out again.
EXO falking a couple of inches to try and chase out Juice is a bit weird on the Corki there.
You can see now, however, Sinner in their 1-3-1. No one can go with Ryoma at this stage of the game. He's level 17. He's picked up so many items going towards a Void Star, and if he's able to just continually shove up, he will be able to collapse quicker. Kaigo at the same time is having a good time into Dockler, so they're kind of trading opposite ends of the 1-3-1.
The big problem I see here is that, Ryoma's pushing into well, now his team's coming through, but, he has no vision on top side, and very dangerous to be pushing into, you know, the Blitzcrank and the Elise and things like that. But this is a fairly good trade, I think. Ocean Dragon, not that relevant, and they'll take the topside turret for it.
So if you're Mineski, what do you have to do at this point? Oh, hang on. Doppler's not going to try and kill a Blitzcrank. TG gets locked down. Ultimate gets popped. He tries to be as fast as possible, but Doppler just follows on through. Parry stuns him as well to add insult to injury. Solo kill picked up by Doppler.
Sloppy. Why is he basing outside of the brush? Doesn't do it for me. This is really good for Sin. I was thinking a little bit before, the hardest thing for Sin right now is they actually just need to take a breath, be patient, wait for this next Baron. And if they can control the 3 side lanes, as we've just seen them, the 2 side lanes, as we've just seen them do, bit of a fight going in bottom lane. Doppler knows his limits, gets out of that one. They do get control over this Baron, and this is where I'm really excited for Sin. Start getting control topside, you know, shove the mid wave back in, get a few wards down, hopefully have somewhere for Doppler to flank. And if you take this Baron, I think you just take the game.
And because no one has armor yet, or really magic resist, FBI and Ryoma, who have so much of the gold. I mean, right now, FBI is a static, actually like a Yomu. So let's just call it a Yomu. A Yomu's ahead of the Caitlyn.
Yeah, they're trying to lock down James first here, though. Spawn Repel already been popped, flashes away. Zen is there to try and stop him, and Ryoma looking to cut him off with a wall. Cuts off one member, just TG. Zen, though, just gets deleted from Summoner's Room. What the heck was that? Suddenly the rest of Mineski are forced to back off. They lose their jungler.
That's game.
They lose their support, and Sin march towards the base.
What the heck? Ryoma just removes Zen from the map. That is a Caitlyn. That is all the late game damage, and Sin are going to march it down mid lane.
This is so exciting. I was excited for the Baron play to be the closeout, but this is the inhibitor, and even if they don't want to close it here, no, there comes the TB. They're going to the end.
Yep,
They're going for the end.
30 seconds and everyone with only EXO left alive. He does have the package.